Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T. If you like all things true crime, if you like it delivered in a peaceful, tranquil manner, if you like it clear and concise without drama, then I highly recommend you subscribe. And if you like what you hear, please smash the like button. It's a free way you can help. And now, without further ado, let's dig in. Well, hello there. Happy Tuesday, my beautiful friends. I hope you're having a lovely day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Today, I'm going to talk about the Jay Slater case. Respected criminal profiler Pat Brown put out a video on the Jay Slater case, basically stating that her conclusion is that Jay had a tragic fall because of his poor decision to try and hike back to Los Cristianos through the dangerous mountainous terrain. His decision-making skills were likely impaired by some drugs he may have taken, allegedly. The end. Take a listen.
What I did say in those hangouts from the very minute he went missing is something I call sense, as opposed to all the nonsense out there. Common sense. You don't even have to be a profiler for this one. I said, you got a guy who stated he was seen leaving the Airbnb by himself. He was on a phone calling his friend to say he was by himself. That he was confused, he didn't have water, and his phone was about to die. And he didn't take the bus, he's off the trail, he's going down some trail, and then he vanishes. Common sense says he was not in a good state of mind, and he made a bad choice, and he's going to end up dead in those mountains. It's just a matter of time to find his body. But that is not what the media went with. That's not what a lot of YouTubers went with. We had a lot of nonsense. People just blowing this out of proportion, saying all kinds of things that happened to him, when it was pretty obvious he was by himself. This reminds me of the Riley Strain case. Same thing. I saw all these people saying, oh my gosh, he was roofied, and he was all kinds of things that happened to him. No, you could see that he drank too much. He was walking down the street alone. No one was with him. He ends up in the river. Common sense says unfortunate accident. And that's what it was eventually ruled. An unfortunate accident, that he was inebriated, went too close to the river for whatever reasons, fell in and drowned. This guy, let's look at what actually happened with him. Went to a rave in Tenerife. A rave full of alcohol and a lot of drugs. Cocaine, MDMA, and some new drugs that I've never even heard of before. And clearly he had issues with using things that he shouldn't use. So he was partying with his friends. And somewhere around, I think it was 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, his friends said, hey, we're done. And he wanted to keep partying, supposedly. So he goes off with a couple guys to an Airbnb up in the mountains. And people say, well, why did he go with them? Well, I don't know. One of them was a convicted drug dealer. Use your common sense. Why do you think he went? Probably because he didn't want to end the night. He was already in whatever. Let's go to your place. Let's have fun. I don't know what happened up there, whether he got any drugs or he didn't. I don't know whether the other guys just petered out and went to sleep, and they were like, hey, we'll give you a ride back and whenever. But this guy decided he was going to take off on his own, probably because he had drugs in his system that were making him not think clearly. So he goes off, gets lost, confused, and he falls and dies.
So Pat, who sounds a little cranky, I've got to say, in her opinion, it's common sense that Jay ended up dead because of his poor decisions and too much partying. However, there are a lot of other true crime creators, as she said, who keep finding potential foul play at every turn. Now, before I get to those wild speculations, let me just share what Ayub Kasim posted on his Instagram yesterday. He wrote, quote, "For everyone's head that's cooking, thinking this photo is some sort of message, I've got my hood, one 'cause it's cold, my guy's doing his hair 'cause it's windy, and my other pal's got his hand to his mouth 'cause he's lighting his smoke. And the date is June 14th, just 'cause I decided to post on the 21st of June. Don't mean I took it that day. Theory after theory getting busted. End quote. So Ayub is now trying to shut down the speculation. He's saying this is just what it looks like. My hoodie's up 'cause it's cold. My friend's messing with his hair 'cause it's windy, etc. No secret symbols here. Now here's another photo that he posted. It reads, quote, "Bozo bro, I doubt it will go to inquest. Jay fell. What is there to explain?" Ayub is clapping back at online sleuths who are analyzing his every move and speculating about the symbolism behind every photo he posts. Maybe Ayub is getting tired of trying to mess with others and of the endless speculation regarding his potential role in Jay's death. Maybe the idea of an inquest in Britain is starting to worry him, so he's no longer being so glib and so willing to stir the pot. But by the way, there is no concrete proof that Britain is going to have an inquest so far into Jay's case, nor is there tangible evidence that any of Jay's friends are currently under investigation. I don't care what YouTuber Joseph Morris says. He has a tendency to spin things. Here are some facts. Jay's friends, Brad Hargreaves, Lucy May Law, and Brandon, aka Haji, have gone silent. Brandon's parents have alluded to Brandon potentially communicating with law enforcement, but we don't know why he's communicating with the cops. There's speculation that he may have received some death threats. But back to the latest speculations. They include that Jay was perhaps hired by convicted drug dealer Ayub Kasim to deal drugs at the NRG festival, and people are now citing video footage taken at the Papagayo Beach Club, and they're saying that it shows Jay handing something over to another partygoer. They're saying here's where his hand goes over to this guy in the black t-shirt. Clearly he's handing him something, and the other people at the rave are watching as this transaction goes down. I'm not sure what I see, to be honest.
In time. And what I mean by busting a shot is actually doing a drug deal. So right here, Jay looks up at this guy who's wearing a black t-shirt. We see this white guy here wearing a black t-shirt. That's the guy who Jay's actually busting the deal to. He has something in his hands, in his left hand right here. He then gives that, whatever is in his left hand, it looks like it's something in a bag or it looks like it's something dark. He gives that to the guy standing right there. Watch the exchange. The exchange happens there. That's where the exchange takes place. And he is giving that guy right here, that's literally standing outside of the circle, he's given him something. He gave him something. And then he walks on. Those guys are there watching because they're clocking that he just gave him something. Let's just rewatch it one more time. Jay standing right there. He looks up at this guy in the black t-shirt. He then has something in his hand, which he then gives to the guy in the black t-shirt. The exchange takes place there, and he leaves. He moves on. He walks away from the deal. He done what he had to do. He done what he was put there to do, and he kept it moving. If we look to the right here, we can see this guy in the... If we look to the right, we can see this guy in a yellow t-shirt. He's got all eyes on Jay. He's got all eyes on the other guy. He's more or less looking at the situation, clocking that he just done a drug deal. So who we see here on the right-hand side, in the far right corner, is Brandon.
Others are saying that Jay purchased cocaine on credit, allegedly, from his friend Brandon, aka Haji, and was unable to pay him for this, Thus, Jay was done in as payback. Other people are reporting that Lucy May Law is asking for police protection. What is 100% true is that if an inquest is held in Britain, Ayub Kassim and Rocky, the two shady Airbnb guys who drove Jay to Masca, will likely be called in to testify, and they will have to answer the hard questions. Now, apparently Ayub is now dangling the carrot of having video footage of Jay laughing in the car during the ride from Playa de las Americanas to Masca, and if you pay him a fee, he will give you access. That is what you call an unethical money grab, and I wouldn't give him any dough. Don't do it. Now, some YouTube creators are saying the reason Ayub hasn't publicly shared that video is because Brandon, Haji, is in the video, which would mean Haji traveled to Masca with Jay. Okay, well, that is just rumor. There's nothing concrete to prove that. The same YouTuber is saying that there's a reason that Jay's friend Haji has not appeared on camera to talk about his friend, and it's because his face is all bruised up from a fight that occurred allegedly at the Airbnb before Jay disappeared. Take a listen.
There's bruises all over it from a fight that occurred at the B&B before Jay disappeared.
Brandon wouldn't come out, and he's got bruises all over his face. Ayab said that they had a little play fight. They're into boxing, and they like a bit of boxing or sparring, and it must have been the night before when Jay went missing.
So Joseph Morris is speculating, he said it's not a fact, it's just something he's thinking, is that perhaps Jay went back to the Airbnb to settle a drug debt and things went sideways. Pure speculation, not based on facts. If you like to chase rainbows, looking for pots of gold and leprechauns, that just might be your thing. I don't know. Other people are talking about Ayub having cuts on his face, suggesting that perhaps Jay used the two sharp objects he supposedly had on him, according to that pseudo-reporter, Mark Thomas Williams, I believe is his name. Other people are saying that Jay was found with his clothes not on him, but rather placed near his remains, as if Jay was thrown over the cliff and his clothes were tossed down into the ravine after him. Joseph Morris is also trying to say that Jay didn't have his phone with him, and he's basing it on what Lucy said here.
It's not safe for anybody to have been here without any of the supplies that you need. He's not got any hiking stuff, he's not got any sun cream, he's not got his phone, he's in severe danger.
Let me just say that Lucy putting it that way could have also meant that Jay's phone was out of juice. He didn't have his phone because it wasn't charged. He might have had it with him physically, but he was unable to use it because it had no battery power. People are also saying that it was Lucy who called Jay on the morning he went missing, not the other way around. And they're wondering how Jay could have FaceTimed with his friend Brad Hargreaves if his phone only had 1% battery. They're saying FaceTime would not work with a battery that low. And some people are looking at a photo of Brad and they're saying that he has a black eye. Now, I personally see Brad with tired looking eyes and shadows under them and around them, but I don't believe this is legitimately a black eye. Same people are speculating that he may have received this so-called black eye outside the Papago Beach Club during the fight that allegedly broke out there Sunday night before Jay went missing. Then there are text messages being floated around, and the texts are allegedly by Jay's friend Lucy, who allegedly writes, "Now he's gone. He's lost what we had. Now he's gone and I don't know what to do." End quote. However, this Lucy, take a look, writes her name Luce, whereas Jay's friend spells her name, if we base it on what she wrote on Jay's GoFundMe, Lucy. Could Lucy like to play around with the spelling of her name? Possibly. I don't know. Is it likely? I wouldn't think so. A lot of people believe the Spanish police on Tenerife are all corrupt and can't be trusted. That may or may not be true. I don't know. Others are saying Lucy works for Ayub as a drug runner, allegedly, despite Lucy describing Ayub and Rocky as being, quote, two people Jay met on Sunday night, end quote, on that same GoFundMe. She doesn't say that they're her existing friends, that she's known them for a while. Some people are saying that Jay got roped into dealing with Lucy for Ayub Kasim and that he lost a bag of drugs and that's why he lost his life. This case may just be as simple as profiler Pat Brown concluded. Simply a tragic accident brought about by a young lad who wasn't thinking straight, probably because of drugs, or it could be as tangled and messy and criminal as all these online sleuths are painting it out to be, or it could just be an example of how many missing persons cases that capture social media's attention, how they go. And that is to say, they turn into endless rabbit holes filled with tons of red herrings and conspiracy theories that convolute the facts. I mean, those of us who are interested in true crime, we love a good mystery. But I personally like a mystery that's based on the facts. I don't like false information getting spread and turned into some crazy thing that wasn't born out of concrete facts. I mean, the goal should be to get to the truth. What is the truth? What really happened? The problem in cases like this is we may never know for sure. Unless they do that inquest, we may never know. I mean, I still have a lot of questions. Like, one, why didn't that Ophelia lady in Masca pull over when she saw Jay walking in the wrong direction? Remember, he spoke to her and asked her about the next bus to Los Cristianos, so she knew where he wanted to go. It would have taken her just a short amount of time to pull over and say, hey dude, you're going the wrong way, you need to go this way. And she must have known that someone dressed in a t-shirt and shorts without water could get into serious trouble by going the wrong way, by climbing up the mountain instead of heading down the mountain on the road toward Los Cristianos. I also want to know from Ayub and Rocky the real reason Jay traveled with them to Masca. I 100% do not believe the story about Jay losing his key to the shared hotel in Los Cristianos, because again, he could have asked his friends to let him in, he could have called them, he could have knocked on the door. I think that the trip to Masca had to do with some sort of shady dealings. It could have been Ayub trying to pay Jay for the stolen watch. It could have been about taking drugs, selling drugs, I don't know. But something that Ayub and Rocky do not want to be 100% honest about. 3, I'd also like Lucy to clarify how long she's known Ayub Kasim and if she works for him as a drug dealer or runner. We'll probably never get that answer. 4, I'd like to ask La Guardia Civil if Jay was wearing his clothes when he was found in that ravine, and what items he had on him. As in, did he have money? If so, how much? Did he have a watch or 2 watches? If so, what brand were they? I'd like to ask Brad Hargreaves if he had a black eye, and if so, how he got it. I'd like to ask Haji, did Jay owe him any money? And did anyone beat him up? Was he in the car with Ayub and Rocky and Jay for that ride to Masca? I'd also like to ask Lucy if that red blanket photographed around someone standing on the doorstep of the remote Airbnb in Masca, was that blanket really hers? If so, how did it end up in Masca? And of course, we'd probably need to use a waterboard with these people if we expect to get anywhere close to the truth. I'll be honest with you, sometimes I do believe this was simply a tragic accident. That tends to be what I lean toward But sometimes when you start seeing all these materials that are put out there, you do start to question it. I think we have to use critical thinking to look at the content that creators put out there, look at the documents to see if we think that they are authentic, do our own due diligence. Do we see what they say we should be seeing in a photo or in a video? And if we don't see it, maybe we don't believe these people because they're trying to steer us in a certain direction, because perhaps it gets clicks and views. That's all for now. I'll see you next time on Bed Crime Stories. Now, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now.